All right, shalom, and welcome to another new moon celebration that Yahweh has enjoined unto us. As we know, our new moon is our new month. It is what Yahweh has set up for us to be able to maintain our calendar so that we can follow along with His holy days in the way that He has set forth for us to do. Tonight, we're going to go over some things here. The title of tonight's lesson is The Preeminent Directing of Yah. And what that means is when we consider all of the things that Yahweh does, or where we're supposed to be servants of Yahweh, we have to understand that His direction, or the direction that He desires for us to go in, is it overrides the direction that we may choose for ourselves, because He has some information that we don't have, but that's hard for us to accept in certain times, because we're operating on the limited information that's in front of us. So we think that sometimes we think we're in the wrong place, or that we have done some wrong things, and it never does occur to us that we are exactly where we're supposed to be, even though we may be in a situation that is not favorable to us. As we go through some of these things tonight, we'll see that there were situations where these were holy and blessed people, and they were still in situations, and then there was a part in their lives where they were not very secure about where they were, only to find out as we get through the book that they were exactly where they were supposed to be. They were going through exactly what they were supposed to be going through, so that it could make sure some other things would happen a certain way later on in their lives. This is the thing about, sometimes we can read something and you read it from one aspect. This is why you never stop reading this holy story, because there's so many different things depending on what aspect you're looking at that particular writing. You may read it from one vantage point and you're getting one thing, but then when you look at that same writing from a different vantage point, it opens up something altogether different that was not there before. So we're going to begin. First thing I want to say, in Numbers 12 and verse 6, Yahweh established that His power was with Moshe through the situation of Miriam speaking against Moshe and the Egyptian woman that he had married. It is written that if there is a prophet among you, I will make myself known unto him in dreams and visions. Now, the things we have to understand about those dreams and those visions, they are given directly to that individual for that particular purpose, which may seem strange to everybody else around you. So this is one of the things that we have to prepare ourselves for, to be directed by Yahweh, even against everybody else's liking or their approval. Genesis chapter 30, and we're going to start with verses 25 through 36. Genesis chapter 30.
And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said unto Laban, Send me away, that I may go unto mine own place and unto my country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you knoweth my service which I have done you. And Laban said unto him, I pray you, if I have found favor in your eyes, tarry, for I have learned by experience that Yahweh has blessed me for your sake.
Now, verse 27, he says, I have learned by experience. So I've seen the things that have happened, even though that Jacob is his servant. I have learned by experience that Yahweh has blessed me because of you. Now, this didn't stop him from mistreating him, though. See, so there's several things that we have to pick up within this. That you may be bringing a blessing to a situation, and those people still may not be treating you the way that you're supposed to be treated. They still may not be treating you up to par, even though they may know. I am blessed because you are here. And it did not stop the blessing, even though he mistreated him. So there's some things that you have to get, because we sometimes are in a situation and don't know our spiritual worth in the situation, because you think, okay, this person has more money than me, they have more power than me, they have this, they have that, and you will never consider that you are bringing a blessing to the table, but you may not be able to see the monetary part of your blessing that is brought to the table. This man knew the monetary blessing of his servant. I know that by experience, I have seen that I am blessed because you are here. But he constantly tried to trick him, tried to do all of these things to keep him there, because he is then motivated by this increase that he has from this person being there. Go ahead.
Verse 28. And he said, appoint me your wages, and I'll give it. And he said unto him, you know how I have served you, and how your cattle was with me. For it was little which you had before I came, and it is now increased unto a multitude. And Yahweh has blessed you since my coming. And now, when shall I provide for mine own house also?
Right. So now the situation is, he's stating the obvious to Jacob, that I realize that Yahweh has blessed me for your sake. Then he says, appoint me your wages and I will give it. So after all these time, he's then asking, so tell me what I owe you. Man, I've been working for 20 years. You talking about tell me what? What kind of question is that? Appoint me your wages and I'll give it. You mean to tell me you don't know what you owe me after all this time? So then you have, and it says, Jacob then says in verse 29, and he said unto him, you know how I have served you and how your cattle was with me. So you had little when I came, and this increase, now you have increased in all of these things, but what do I have to provide for myself, even though all of this increase has been brought to you since I have been here? Do y'all realize when we got this building, there might have been one other person here? This building was virtually empty, this entire complex, when we got here. I mean, it looked desolate when we got here. Now every building, every unit in this building is full. There was not one thing. And we came here by accident, so we thought, because we were doing something else, so we thought. And then we end up getting this place. It is completely desolate. We were actually trying to get the place downstairs that Benaiah actually has, another person in our congregation. So it's kind of interesting how things happen, but there was nothing here when we got here. Now we have to remind people, don't park in our spaces. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 30 and verse 31. And he said, what shall I give you? And Jacob said, you shall not give me anything. If you will do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep your flock.
Because he is known by his experience, every time he tries to deal with this man has changed how he was supposed to get paid. Anything that was lost, he had to provide for it. So he's then saying, okay, don't give me anything. Let me earn my own, but just leave my stuff alone that is brought unto me. Go ahead.
I'll pass through all your flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown cattle among the sheep. and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such shall be my hire.
So when you have so much, the ones that have blemishes are not that high of value anymore. You know, when you know, if you get you know, a Honda Accord, you know, that's a fine vehicle. You say, oh man, it's nice, and you cool with that vehicle until one day you get a Bentley. Now that Honda Accord is sitting in the garage after you get a Bentley. So now something of value has less value because you have something of more value. So this is how Yahweh sometimes move people to a wrongful negotiation, because they think they have abundance at that particular time. It is why people blow their money, because they think, oh, I got plenty right now, so let's make it rain. And then it really rains, and they'll be like, oh, damn. Now you can't make it rain now. It's dry as a desert. But because you made it rain when it wasn't raining, so when it really rained, now you're in trouble. MC Hammer, when he was making all that money, he went out and built a $30 million house. Then the next record, didn't say a nothing. I mean, didn't go wood, didn't go copper, didn't go silver. Before that, he was going platinum, multi-platinum. Then everything after that went copper and wood. Now, here's the problem. Now you got this $30 million house. I mean, a monstrosity. Pools, his pools had pools. I mean, just all kind of things. Everything. Bowling alley, couldn't pay for that stuff when that next album went wood. See? So, Yahweh has given this man so much that these little things with the little lines, they speckle and they spotted. Wait a minute, these are still good animals. But you know what? He has so much. You know, that's what you want? You want the spotted and the speckled and the grizzled? You can have that stuff. I got so much, that's nothing. Read.
So shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before your face. Everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me.
Right. So if I have any other thing other than these ones that you have looked at as of lower value, then you can basically say I stole it. So this is going to be my hire from this point on. Go ahead.
And Laban said, I would. Laban said, behold, I would it might be according to your word. And he removed that day that the he-goats that were ring-straked and spotted, and all the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, and every one that had some white in it, and all the brown among the sheep, and gave them into the hand of his sons. And he set 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob. And Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks.
Okay, so now in verse 35, he removed all of those things, right? He gave them in the hand of his sons. Now, here comes another middleman in between this. And this is how things can look one way when it's somewhere else. Now, the sons, obviously, the sons are going to inherit the things that the father possessed. So at this point, you see a large amount of animals, however many it was at that point. You see these things are now being separated and given unto Jacob. But these were given by the hands of the sons. He gave it to the sons then gave it to Jacob, which is how things are done. The father doesn't have to do all of those things himself, as he has raised his sons to deal with the business. He tells them what he wants to go to get done, and then they go and do that physical labor as they are younger and able-bodied men. Go ahead. Did you finish that?
Yes.
All right, let's go to Genesis chapter 31, and we're going to read verses 1 through 13.
And he heard the word of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob have taken away all that was our father's.
Okay, pause. You see that? Now, you understand why. See, there's some space in between this one thing where Laban put these things in the hands of his sons to go and give to Yaakov. Never mind, he'd been stealing from the man for like 20 years. Okay? So then, when this man asked for his hire so that he could provide for his own family, as these things are then given, now you got the middle man in the picture is these sons. Now they think the man done stole from their daddy. So now they got indignation with the man. Never mind, the man has been done wrong from the start. Now here they come in the middle because they counting their own stuff. See, they're not really counting what has been done wrong to the man. And that's what ends up happening with people. We're so concerned with ourselves that we don't turn around and look. Man, look how this man has been robbed. Look at how long this man was supposed to serve 7 years for one woman because he didn't have the dowry of a virgin. Yet, he didn't end up getting tricked to serve 7 more years for another sister that he didn't even say he was trying to marry. Then he ends up working still some more time. So the sons don't consider any of that. All they see is the stuff leaving from their daddy's possession to Yaakov. Go ahead.
And of that which was our father's has he gotten all this glory. Yaakov beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not toward him as before.
Now Laban has an attitude problem because he has had to pay the man. He has had to give the man what he's supposed to give the man. Now, in the beginning, I know and I realize that I am blessed because of your presence. Yet I still steal from you, and I have indignation that you actually ask for your pay. That same thing they do in corporate America. You turn around and ask for a raise, they look, the money is not there. You know, we went through the finances. We do not have the money to pay you or to give you a raise. What's that in the parking lot? Oh, that's my new Ferrari. Yeah. So the money wasn't out for me to get a raise, but you got a new Ferrari? That's interesting. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Yaakov, return unto the land of your fathers and to your kindred, and I'll be with you. And Yaakov sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock, and said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not toward me as before, but the Elohim of my father has been with me. And you know that with all my power I have served your father. And your father has deceived me, and changed my wages 10 times. But Elohim suffered him not to hurt me.
Right. So in this, it's hard to see that you are being blessed when your wages have been changed 10 times. We would have been quit that place when our wages get changed. See, our wages supposed to increase. When we get, imagine you working somewhere and then, you know, you started at $20 an hour and then 2 weeks later it's 18. What? And then 3 more weeks it's 16. What? Wait a minute. Then 2 months later, you getting 15. I was like, wait a minute, I'm going backwards. This is backwards hustling here. It will never appear that there's a blessing in there. He said, but Elohim has suffered him not to hurt me, even though he's changed my wages. See, sometimes Yahweh withholds something that he can give it to you in one lump sum when your mind right. Because he could have gave all of that stuff in between in little increments, but if your mind ain't right, you're going to waste and squander that. I can tell you some things that I did when I got some money when I was younger. That money caught a fire in my pocket. My pocket was hot. I mean, my leg wouldn't be still. I mean, my leg was just jumping. I had that one pivot foot. You know that when you're playing basketball, you can't move, but you got that one pivot foot, you can move. Boy, that's what that money was doing to that one leg, boy. It was making it move, boy. That money. And I mean, you blow it. And I mean, at the end of the day, you got absolutely zero to show for it. But when you get a little bit older and wiser, you learn. Hey, nah, I ain't gonna do that. And you try to tell these young kids when they out there setting their money on fire, like, what you doing, man? You finna barbecue? No, man, I'm just, I'm gonna set my money on fire. That's not a good idea. You can tell them, but they ain't listening. They're going to burn that money up, and they're going to have to go be like the son that went out and wasted his, all his money living with harlots and all of those things, and then end up eating the same food that the doggone pigs got to eat. Then they realize after that, you know what? I might want to operate in my affairs a little bit better. But nonetheless, you still tell them. Even though they ain't going to listen to you, you still tell them. When it got time for Yahweh to deal with Pharaoh, he told Moshe, go and say this to Pharaoh. But he not going to listen to you. But just so I can make sure that I'm in the right place with righteous judgment, I need you to tell him. Now, he ain't going to listen, but tell him. Same thing you got to do with each children. Tell them. They ain't going to listen to you. Do not do this. Yeah, whatever, old man. Tell them. Don't do that, girl. Whatever, mama, you don't know nothing. That was old folk time. All right. You still have to do that job. And even though things look like they go down and they come back up and they go down, sometimes you are right where you're supposed to be because there's some lessons that have to be learned. And some lessons are only going to be learned the hard way. Go ahead, bro.
Genesis chapter 31 and verse 8. If he said thus, the speckle shall be your wages, then all the cattle bear speckled. And if he said thus, the ringstrakes shall be your hire, then bear all the cattle ringstraked. Thus Elohim had taken away the cattle of your father and given them to me.
Right, but see, so now here the brothers are then ticked off because they don't consider any of the things that this man has lost over the years. But look at how Yahweh operates. Yeah, I'm going to let this man steal from you all this time. But when it's time to go, I'm going to go ahead and give you your increase. When it get closer to your departure time, then I'm going to give you your stuff. Because same thing will happen with us. We know if we got reparations here, we be in the wilderness broke, with diamond teeth and all this kind of stuff. We would have purchased every unreasonable thing we could think of. It wouldn't do us a bit of good here. They would have all the money back in 2 months. And we would have made everybody rich. Because instead of us opening up any businesses to get some of that money back, we would just spend. And it's what you see today. I go right down the street. There's a liquor store that an Asian owned. Sit there and watch the black people that go in the store. There are black people that go in that store and pull in there with all kind of cars, Maseratis, all of these things to go and spend their money in a store, making that man enough money to do all of those things, but they themselves won't own anything, but will still go and patronize all of the foreigners who move in our neighborhood and set up businesses. But we won't set up one. So that's the consumer mindset instead of the entrepreneur mindset. That you just spend. You don't make anything to bring something in. And they got plenty enough money to do it. We just won't. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And it came to pass at the time that the cattle conceived that I lifted up mine eyes, and I saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the cattle were ring-straked, speckled, and grizzled. And the angel of Elohim spake unto me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, Here am I. And he said, Lift up now your eyes, and see, all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ring-straked, speckled, and grizzled. For I've seen all that Laban does unto you.
Right. And here's that thing where, some of us, especially when we're going through something, I mean, we complaining all the while. We doing everything. I mean, we crying, we rolling around in the grass. I mean, we going through it. Yahweh said, I seen every bit of thing that he done to you. Everything that he's taken from you, everything that you've gone through, I seen it. There's absolutely nothing that has happened that I haven't seen. Go ahead.
I am the Elohim of Bethel, where you anointed the pillar and where you vowed a vow unto me. Now arise and get you out from this land and return unto the land of your kindred.
Right. So once again, we see that Yahweh operates in the same fashion. He then gives the increase as it's time for you to go. He did the same thing in Egypt. All right, it's time for y'all to go. Now go borrow of those people. Go get all of these things. But not while you're here. You're going to blow it all. So there's a thing, and then you have to also deal with, then Yahweh comes to him in this dream and then letting him know that this was of my direction. Now, imagine if he spent 20 years whining and complaining. Imagine if he spent 20 straight years of whining and complaining. Oh, they done took my cattle. Oh, they took my lamb. Oh, he took my ram. Oh, my goodness. Where my cow? Where my cow? Going through all of that. And Yahweh said, look, I'm just holding your stuff so that when you get ready to leave out of here, you actually have something to leave out of here with. Did not he do the same thing when our people were when we got carried away and they came in and took all of our stuff, and one of the leaders of the heathen decided to take the bowls of Yahweh's altar and have a party with his wives and concubines. Yahweh they just held that stuff them 70 years. He made them give all that back. Every last bit of it. And here's the thing, because it's the own, lust of our own mind and the lust of our eyes, that we want to see everything that we own. Had we had all of that stuff in captivity, by the time captivity was over, we wouldn't have one bowl and one spoon to make one offering. Because we would have lost it that whole time. And here it is, Yahweh said, no. The heathen is just a bank for you. I'm making them, they have the ability to hold and preserve all your stuff. You would have lost every bit of it. I got it sitting here. While you complaining, thinking that I took it from you, just hold what you got. I got it right here. And he made them give every last bit of it back. But if you don't know how Yahweh works, you're going to be done panicked by the time everything go down. And if you ain't working for Yahweh, you might as well go ahead and panic, because he ain't going to do that for you. He does that for servants. Not for people who, around the word. No, people who in the word. See, there's being in the word and there's people that being around the word, You come around the parking lot, you might see them around, They ain't in the word, but they be around it, They can say a scripture too, But they're not really in the word. So you don't have any reason to do that for them. Just like he says, I don't discipline our kids that are not mine. You go up to your kid's school and you see 10 kids out there acting a fool, and one of them is yours. Which one do you go discipline? Yours. You don't go grab the other 9 and start whooping them. You're going to go to jail here and the kid might shoot you. You go and deal with yours. Yahweh says the same thing. I chastise my children. I don't chastise Lucifer's children. That's Lucifer's job. Those his kids. So that's something that we have to consider. Did you finish that, bro?
Yes.
All right, let's go to Genesis chapter 37.
Genesis chapter 37 and verse 1.
And we're going to read verses 1 through 11.
And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan.
The land of burnt black ham. This is what Canaan land, which became Israel. And when you see all the foul stuff that the sons of Japhet are doing in the land of Israel, you will truly get to see these so-called Israelis for who they are. They have been killing since the day that they got there, and they are still doing it over and over and over again, and it's not going to stop until they are removed. Go ahead.
These are the generations of Yaakov. Yosef, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Yosef brought on to his father their evil report.
All right, so they already don't like Yosef. They don't like his dreams, and they sure don't like this this baby snitching right here. See, it says he brought unto their father their evil report. There's that baby snitching right there. They really got a problem with him. First of all, you know, he got this, you know, he ends up with this coat of many colors, like he a ruler, you know. And he the young kid that stay in the house. You know, all the rest of them out in the field. You know. So, and as it is written, you know, he was a handsome brother. So now you got a little pretty boy who stay in the house while they out working, and then he baby snitching. Go ahead.
Now Yeshua loved Yosef more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors.
Right, being the son of his old age, he has learned how to be a better parent at this time as well. So he does things differently. If you see, I remember when my younger cousins started coming up, they didn't remember my grandmama like I did. Because, you know, my grandmama used to have one of them switches that was so long, it was like a whip. You could run around the corner and she could still get you. The thing would bend the corner. It was so, I mean, it was so good. It was whoosh. I mean, you could think you got away because you didn't see her because you was on this side of the wall. And boy, that switch would still come around that corner and get you. They didn't know that, big mama. They never seen her. She had got older, so she couldn't operate like that. See, every time I got suspended, every time I got in trouble in school, I had to go to my grandma's house and watch the story. It was horrible. And I still hate the stories to this day. If I'm flipping by and I see one of them, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it does something to me. You know, that was punishment. I had to watch The Price is Right. Don't no kid ever want to know the price of palmolive. You know what I'm saying? That ain't nothing I ever want to know. Ever. And then she would leave the room. And I try to change the channel, and she'd be in the next room. I was listening to that. What do you mean you're not in here? How are you listening to this? And I still got to sit there and go through it. But there was something different that happened in, you know, as you age, you deal with things in a different manner. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him.
Okay, so now this favor has caused hatred to him. Go ahead.
And Yosef dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more.
Right, so they already hate him, then he tells the dream, and then they hate him even more. Go ahead.
And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For, behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose.
Okay, stop. Okay, let me tell you the pissed off part already. You don't work, boo-boo. Okay, look here, Shapriti. You are not in the field. You here with this little pretty little coat, telling us your pretty little dreams, but you in the house with daddy, okay? So your pretty little dream is already pissing us off because you ain't binding no nothing anyway. So your little dream done already pissed me off before you even started your little dream because you ain't binding nothing. You're not working here. Okay, continue.
For, behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright.
Right, so the one who's not working, his sheaf has arose, but he no work. Go ahead.
And behold, your sheaf stood round about and made obeisance to my sheep.
If they made obeisance, they bowed to it. So you ain't working, but you got something, and then your stuff bowed, our stuff bowed to yours, but you're not working. Oh yeah, they pissed. Oh, they pissed. This dream ain't he not finished. But they already super pissed. Go ahead.
And his brethren said to him, shall you indeed reign over us?
The kid who don't do no work, you gonna, right? Look at your hands. Look at that. They soft like you soak them in palm olive all day. We out here working. All our hands are just, but you gonna reign over us. Go ahead.
Or shall you indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words.
Right. Now, it's hard to see that that's Yahweh in that. See? Yahweh allows people to have whatever they need inside of them to do the job. Yahweh calls them to dream and then tell people so it just poke out. So then they're going to do what they need to do to actually make the dream come true. But they think they stopping the dream. See? So that's Yahweh. Yeah, tell them the dream. Yeah, but they hate me. Yeah, I know. Tell them the dream. Yeah, but they going to want to do something to me. Yeah, I know. Tell them the dream. Yeah, but they say, I got soft hands like palm olive. You do. Tell them the dream. And you still going to rule over them. You ain't your palm olive hands. Tell them the dream. Go ahead. Right. Go ahead.
And he dreamed yet another dream and told it his brethren and said, behold, I've dreamed a dream more.
When something good happens to you in your heart and mind, you are so overjoyed that you want to tell the world. I remember first being in the Word, and I first got the truth of the Word. Man, I wanted to tell everybody. Then you find out everybody ain't happy about your happiness. You learn, you know what, I need to just shut my mouth. Yeah. Silly little boy, he young, he don't know no better. Go ahead.
And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me.
Okay, see, now they really pissed. Okay, so first of all, you ain't did no work, but your sheep bowed to ours. Okay, all right. But now, everything in the heaven bowed down to you. So now you so up high, and then we all gonna bow down to you. No, man, see, we ain't gonna be able to take too many more of these dreams. Go ahead.
And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to you to the earth?
Right. So even the father don't like this one. He like, I understand, this boy's different. But hey, man, there's some strange stuff you got going on here. Go ahead.
And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same.
Now, here's the thing. Yahweh is sending these dreams as a thing that is going to happen in that particular person's life. See, it is not about how other people want to deal with the things that Yahweh ends up showing you. See, each person has to learn how Yahweh deals with them. And it may not be a situation where other people are able to receive how Yahweh is dealing with you. That's something you're going to have to learn. And Yahweh may not deal with you the same way he did with me, or the way he did with that brother, or the way he did with that sister. See, and it's always a little difficult to discern how Yahweh is dealing with each individual, because people have a tendency to hide certain things that they've been through. See, so a person might tell you one thing, and it looks like, oh yeah, Yahweh is dealing with them for such and such and such and such. But there's some other things that have happened in that person's life that you don't have, that is not in your equation, but it's in Yahweh's equation. That's where the things get interesting. Let's go to Genesis chapter 49. 45, I'm sorry. Genesis chapter 45, and we're going to read verses 1 through 9.
Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him. And he cried, caused every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren.
So at this point, of course, within the story, they sold him. They took the coat of many colors, put animal blood on it, went back to the father, told him some evil beast must have devoured your pretty son. All right, and here go the rest of his little coat of many colors. So all of that has happened unto him to push him to become a slave, then a prisoner, and then the second in command over Egypt. So it took all of their hatred of his dreams to actually bring his dream to fulfillment. So while it looks like he's in the worst place in his life, he goes to prison. He's accused of rape. And he's exactly where he's supposed to be. That is hard to wrap your head around. That you in a dungeon, and this is exactly where you're supposed to be. Because in each one of those things, he comes in contact with somebody that his dream can then elevate him. His ability, his gift of interpreting dreams and having these dreams puts him in a place where he can then save his people. His ability around his brothers wasn't going to do nothing but get him killed. So Yahweh had to use their hatred to drive him somewhere else, so that then Yahweh could deal with him outside of his brothers, outside of his father, and cause that gift to grow. And it's hard to say, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be when you're sitting in prison, accused of a crime that you did not commit. Go ahead.
And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Does my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence.
Right, because this is supposed to be the one that was sold as a slave, and now he is the ruler over all of these people. And not only that, now they starving, coming to him for food. Now they're having to bow exactly like the dream said. So it was Yahweh poking him, tell him the dream. Yeah, I know, young boy. Tell him the dream. Yeah, but this is going to aggravate him. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Tell him again. They're going to be so upset with you that they're going to do something to you. And that's exactly what I want them to do. Go ahead.
And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I'm Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that you sold me hither. For Elohim did send me before you to preserve your life.
Right. So now consider things from the outside looking in. As you're sitting there looking at this man's life, that he has gone through these things, to some people, oh man, he in prison, oh, Yahweh must be dealing with him. Yeah, he's dealing with him to bring him completely up higher than everybody else. But from the outside in, it may look like something totally different. But that's how Yahweh is dealing with him. See, the end result of a thing is Yahweh. That's why we have to sit around and watch to see what becomes of something. Go ahead.
For these 2 years has the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years, in which there shall be neither earing nor harvest. And Elohim sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance.
Elohim sent me before you to preserve you a posterity. So he used your hatred to save you. And he used your hatred and mistreatment of me to save you. Because what he's doing is, now I'm going to expose everything that your brothers have in their heart for you. But the things that they do against you is going to cause you to prosper. And it's so you can save your family. Because it's not just about them as individuals. This is now about the nation of Israel. See? So this is that part that we have to consider, that it goes outside of your personal things. But these dreams, these Yahweh dealing with certain individuals was for him. And it doesn't matter how anybody else thought it looked, what they thought they were looking at, it meant absolutely nothing to Yahweh. Go ahead.
So now it was not you that sent me hither, but Elohim. And he has made me a father to Pharaoh, and master of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Haste you, and go up to my father, and say unto him, Thus said your son Joseph, Elohim has made me master of all Egypt. come down unto me, tarry not.
All right, let's go to our Acts chapter 9, and that's going to be the last one that we're going to do tonight. Acts chapter 9, and we're going to read verses 1 through 15. See, we have to remember, it says, Yahweh, if there be a prophet among you, I will deal with them in dreams and in visions. So understand, when we talk about a vision, then now we're talking about situations where the person is not asleep. See, when you talk about these other things before, these people are dreaming, then now they're questioning whether or not, okay, was that really real? I had a dream, and so is this really the direction of Yahweh, or did I just eat too much chocolate before I went to sleep? You know, am I tripping? You know, but then now you have other things where it shows that Yahweh is directing people, but this thing, the people are awake and they're seeing things. So Acts chapter 9, and we're going to read verses 1 through 15.
And Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Adonai, went on to the high priest, and desired of him letters to Damascus to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. And he fell to the earth, and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecute you me? And he said, Who are you, Adonai? And the Adonai said, I am Yahshua, whom you persecuted. It is hard for you to kick against the pricks. And he, trembling and astonished, said, Adonai, what will you have me to do? And the Adonai said unto him, Arise and go into the city, and it shall be told you what you must do. And the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man.
Okay, so now you have a situation. So you have Yahweh dealing with one individual, but there are other people there. Now, how are they going to perceive what is happening to him and for him? See, this is not about them. They're just there. See, I had a situation that happened to me when I was in school. A friend of mine, you know, he had he could drive his mama's car or whatever, and he was taking me over to my dad's house, and this was my biological, right? That's a better word, my biological, because you know I don't really know him like that, you know, and he kind of you know, popped up around that time. I was about 15, 16, and he was supposed to be, you know, he was gonna buy me a car. He was gonna buy me a Cadillac. My mama was hot, boy. She was upset. She did not want, you know, this dude to just pop up in my life, and then, you know, ain't been around all these years, and then he just gonna, you know, buy me a Cadillac and save the day, you know. So, the Cadillac never happened, by the way. Okay, so that's just a little side note, you know. I was supposed to go over there on, I think, go back on Tuesday and or Wednesday, and I think he gambled all of it away by Tuesday, you know. So it was a big, like, fishbowl full of money, you know, that one day I went over there. I was like, oh man, I could see myself. I had already picked out the Cadillac. It was light green with a dark green top, you know what I'm saying, with that half rag top. Oh my God, boy, I wasn't gonna be worth a damn if I'd got that Cadillac at 15. I'm gonna tell you now. So I had already had the little vision. Of course, we didn't come back in time. He lost all that money. It was gone. So that didn't happen. But Yahweh got me there for something. So there was this situation that happened while me and my friend was there, and didn't know it at the time. But Yahweh was showing me a vision of some things that were going to happen in my life. I didn't know who Yahweh was when I was 15. So, of course, I didn't know anything about what I was looking at. And I didn't know what it was. I saw it. It was, you know, something that me and my friend saw, and it really got our attention. Later on, you know, my friend was just my ride there. Later on, my friend started orchestrating his life to recreate the things that he saw at my dad's. Now understand, I don't know this man, you know. In my office now, there's a picture of my elder Yaakov, my teacher, and a pool stick up under it. It's in a little case or whatever, and it's mounted up under the picture. And people always come in my office and they say, "Oh, your elder must have been a pool player." And I was like, "No." I said, "Those are the two things that remind me what I'm going to be in my life." I said, "The top one is that's the picture of my elder. That is my motivation of what I need to strive for." He said, "Well, why's the pool stick there?" I said, "That's the only thing that my biological father has ever given me, a pool stick. But I don't play pool." So that reminds me of what I ain't going to be. The top thing reminds me of what I am going to be. The bottom one reminds me of what I ain't never going to be. I ain't never going to be some dude who didn't give his kids nothing but a pool stick. That ain't going to be me. So you need positive and negative direction in your life. If you ain't got but one, you got some problems. You got the wrong kind of balance. So that negative thing drives me just as much as that positive one does. Matter of fact, quite honestly, the negative one drives me actually a little bit harder. See, when you go through hell, it actually is a much better motivating factor than when things go good. Because we have a tendency to sit on our John Brown hind parts when things are going good. So my friend then starts recreating all of these things in his life. Now this my right hand man. He's not telling me that this is what he's doing. I just have to witness and figure out, wait a minute, man, why are you doing this? And he's recreating something that he saw at my father's house that had absolutely nothing to do with him. He was just my ride there. In trying to recreate that, he ended up ruining a large portion of his life for something that had absolutely nothing to do with him. He was just my ride there. Go ahead, brother.
Acts chapter 9 and verse 8. And Saul arose from the earth, and when his eyes were opened, he saw no man, but they led him by the hand and brought him on to Damascus. And he was 3 days without sight, and neither did eat nor drink. And there was a certain disciple at Damascus named Ananias. And to him said the Adonai in a vision, Ananias. And he said, Behold, I am here, Adonai. And the Adonai said unto him, Arise and go into the street which is called Straight, and inquire in the house of Yehudis for one called Saul of Tarsus. For, behold, he prays, and had seen in a vision a man named Ananias coming in and putting his hand on him, that he might receive his sight.
Right. So he has seen a vision. I am giving you one so that you can fulfill the vision that he has already seen. Go ahead.
Then Ananias answered, Adonai, I have heard by many of this man how much evil he has done to your saints at Jerusalem.
Right. But see, this vision ain't got nothing to do with you. See, what you need to do is just take care of your business. See, Yahweh doesn't care how other people perceive what they think they're looking at. That ain't none of his business. If they think they know what they're looking at, let them go ahead and look on. But at the end of the day, Yahweh has done this for his own purpose. And when that goes down, normally only that person in Yahweh know what that is. Now, Ananias know what it is after he deals with this because he is part of it. And you have the same thing when you deal with Cephas and the whole vision about these unclean beasts. This thing was given to direct something else. But people read about that vision and then they interpret that any kind of way they want. And that's why they say, okay, now the food has been cleansed. And the man clearly said, you know, hey, I should call no man common or unclean. So that vision had its own purpose. It don't matter what other people thought. Go ahead.
Verse 14. And here he has authority from the chief priest to bind all that call on your name. But Yahshua said unto him, Go your way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me, to bear my name before the Gentiles, and kings, and the children of Israel.
Mm-hmm. For I will show him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake. So all of these then dreams and visions are given for a purpose so that we can be directed in the way that we are supposed to be directed. When you deal with those things, we have to put ourselves in a situation where when Yahweh does come to direct us, when He does give us direction, we have to be steadfast enough in our own heart and mind to receive that direction. You know, when this brother was riding this donkey and this ass see the angel and turns, he doesn't respect the direction of this dumb animal, and the dumb animal was the one that saved his life. The earth and the fullness therein belongs to Yahweh, and He can use whatever He wants to direct His servants. That's all that we're going to do for tonight. Enjoy your new moon. Shalom.
Shalom.